Welcome to episode 285 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt, and this is going to be the best episode ever. It is Monday show, so we have Yikes of the Week. We will have Kevin, friend of the show, back on to talk some League of Legends and Worlds, and also recap/preview a little Valorant First Strike. And as always, some e-news to get to as well to wrap things up. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show's sponsor in Alt Esports. That's ULT for those keeping score at home. AltEsports.com, that will be your destination for the number one esports apparel lifestyle brand clothing that you can spend money on. They have official partnerships with the Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League, and including the Center Ring Esports podcast. Go figure, can pick yourself up a 101 Burglars hoodie, and more to come on that. Their upcoming collection, Reset, is bound to come out soon enough. I've seen little sneak peeks. You will love it. AltEsports.com. Get yourself some comfortable clothing, look good while doing it, and your loved ones will thank you.
Hey, it's Kenias from J2 Esports, and you are listening to Centering.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 285, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is November 2nd, 2020. Happy November, everyone. We have all survived Spooktober. And the time is 8:52. 8:53. Just switched as I said it. PM Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring and join our Discord. The link is in the description there. YouTube.com/The Center Ring. Subscribe. Have some fun ideas and content coming out there soon enough. And all that fun jazz. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Feeling like $1,000,000, Tim. Like Nico on G2 this morning, you know? Feeling good.
Feeling good, looking good.
No, it was like a solid day of esports today. I felt like we had some good Counter-Strike on like throughout the day. You throw that on the second monitor, like hard to complain.
For a Monday, it was.
EU matchups going on.
We did.
It just felt good to see it, you know.
NA underperforming. I mean, it's
we do have the elimination matchup of the Brazilian teams tomorrow, so that's always exciting. See who the fans are cheering for in Twitch chat. Also, listeners, fans, friends, family, I want to throw this out there. Go vote. Tomorrow is obviously a big day, and so if you haven't had a chance and you have the ability to do so, take that opportunity. Go vote. It's a fun thing to do. It's like your right to do so, and so hopefully you're getting out there. I don't care who you vote for, whoever you want to go vote for, go vote. But just get it out there and do your part. You know.
I'm gonna say don't vote.
Of course you would.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. That's what they want you to do. They want you to go vote.
You're showing them.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. No, actually.
Doing anything for election day?
Oh boy. Anuj, you and every listener knows how much I just love the politics and elections. I mean, every time I get a political text message, it's like I'm opening up a little Christmas gift a few months early.
You would think you're political based on how some of your friends have treated you over the past couple of years.
The fun thing is, this is how I don't follow politics at all. Although I did vote.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I feel like that's like the most American thing I can do, right? Knowing absolutely nothing about politics, but then still voting. because up to now, we are the night on election eve, and it's like we still have no idea what the two leaders are going for. Like, all I know, if all I'm going off of social media, and even the news, if Trump wins, unless you are a white male, sorry, Anuj, you're screwed. All your rights will be gone. You will have to now listen to me. And if Biden wins, then it's like, kiss your retirement goodbye, your guns, all of it. It's all gone.
All gone. It's all gone tomorrow.
It's all just like that. So, we'll watch it. We'll watch it. Look, regardless of who wins, and like Anuj said, I truly don't care who you vote for. I'm not one of these people. I love you all the same. Regardless of who wins, just remember, you will still have to wake up the next day and go to the job that you probably don't like, and you'll still get stuck in the traffic that you hate, and life goes on. It's okay.
Not much is changing for us middle-class folk,
No. Yeah, right.
Like, we're kind of being ignored.
I make just enough money to not matter to any politician.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of the damn truth.
it's okay.
We're doing an all-American day, so we're doing hamburgers tomorrow.
Nice.
We got some apple pie for dessert.
Ooh.
And we're gonna just sit in front of the TV and
watch the fireworks.
Just watch the fireworks. I'm either gonna see
probably
the KKK marching down my neighborhood around midnight tomorrow, or I'm going to see Antifa protesters all over the streets. Like, there's really no middle ground here. And
one or the other.
Look, I'm just hoping the guy.
I am worried for some friends and family, though. On both sides. Whichever way it goes, I'm worried for some people. I don't know if some people can handle the outcome.
I'll be following your friends' Twitters more closely than I will some of the politicians out there that'll be tweeting.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. I will log on Facebook the moment the winner is announced just to see what some people have to
Facebook's going to be great tomorrow. It's going to be, oh man. It's going to be great. There's going to be so much hatred on both sides, and people just don't know how to get along anymore. And so Facebook is like the place to go to if you want to see most of your relationships be broken apart in one night.
And at the end of the day, NA will still suck in Counter-Strike. So regardless.
Not at Valorant, though.
Not at Valorant. No. Well, we don't know yet.
NA has got the better talent across the board.
Like I said, yes. So let's we'll save that topic for another day. Let's get Kevin on right now. I'm gonna give him a call via Discord. We'll see how this works. Never seems to work as smooth as I want to add someone live.
We're getting Kevin before Yikes of the Week.
Yes.
This must be a special.
It is Worlds. It is Worlds. We will do Worlds at a very.
What's Worlds?
It's this game called League of Legends. All right, hold on. Why Discord? You're amazing, but you don't make it easy. Add friend. Kevin. They don't make it easy to just create group. Sure. Start. Well, this is live on air, trying to set up a 3-way call on Discord. Will it work? There's Kevin.
There he is.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
We do have Kevin. What is up?
What's going on, guys? It's been a crazy last time I saw you. It's been kind of crazy, kind of nutty.
Oh, I hear some big things have happened for you recently.
Let's see. About a month ago, I lost my job. So that's been pretty nice. 2 weeks later, I got a new job. 2 weeks after that, I got a daughter already born. God thankful for that. Other than that, though, it's been pretty chill. I'm finally back at work after about a 2-week hiatus, and hopefully get some big things rolling for free to play coming up in the next month or so. Hopefully we get that back up off the ground after a short hiatus. But how you guys been?
Well, first off,
rewind. We can't jump to us yet.
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
Baby girl.
Oh, dude. Congrats. Big congrats.
Yep. Very nice. Very nice. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it suck?
Oh my God, it's at a 4 right now. I have gotten Probably honestly the most sleep I get is at my new job in between like my lunch break and like that 20-minute bathroom break section I have, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna take a quick cat nap and I'm out, and that's as best as I can get. But the good news is she's a cute kid, so I guess
I mean,
that makes
it's
it
worth it.
worth it.
I'm not saying it's not worth it. Like people like get that confused. Something can be miserable but also worth it. And that is having a child.
100%.
Like
This kid will make you run the spectrum.
That is having a child for sure. Also, what's the name?
Her name is we're just going by Mel for now.
Mel.
M-E-L. Mel.
M-E-L.
Classic, simple, looks gender neutral on a resume. Nobody's gonna give her issues.
Easy enough. Very 2020 of you.
Exactly.
So, I know we talked privately about this, but just to formally make it live,
go for it.
The TCR crew has challenged the free-to-play crew in a best-of-3 League of Legends event.
Yes, that is currently the gauntlet being thrown at me. I'm gonna say yeah, sure, why not? And it'll be good fun. We'll have
now
some
your
fun.
crew cannot quit this time.
No, they won't quit this time. I think we'll give them a little bit better pep talk than I gave them last time. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it light.
I can't teabag. How
confident are you feeling?
Right now, I haven't played League. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have not played League in about 2.5 months. So currently, I'm on my skill set. I'm a top laner. I'm a support player. I'm like, I'm not that confident. My boys have been playing probably on and off for the past 3 weekends, and they always get a text saying, "Hey, join up." And I'm like, I got a kid.
That's not how this works.
What am I gonna do?
That's not how this works anymore.
Yeah.
What rank are you, Kevin? Just out of curiosity.
I'm like, let's see. It depends. If I'm solo, I'm probably like bronze. If I'm with duoing, I'm probably like silver. I'll say like silver 4, which ain't bad.
So there's a chance.
There's a
chance. Feel like there's a chance for us to maybe get in there. I need to know what kind of talent we need to recruit to come into this matchup.
I've literally never played.
Perfect. It's super easy. Like I will line up the champions you can choose that are like just literally smash your face on a keyboard, and it will all just turn out okay.
I've already got my people working on it. Just
Tim's gonna be our jungler, so he can learn the roots and just handle all that.
Crunch. I just need someone to crunch the numbers. Actually, my strategy is just to go with the woman with the biggest boobs, and then just be them.
It's a very tough debate because they always change the art style, so we have no idea who has the biggest boobs anymore on League of Legends.
We'll figure it out. We'll put
I will do the work.
You guys get in touch with me, let me know, and I'll verify. Okay.
I will do that research for the show, of course.
Yes, purely
for the show.
Scientific reasons.
So we will figure out a date off air as far as when we want to do that. Given the fact that we've purposely waited to challenge you. Because we knew, you play League a lot more than us. So we purposely waited for you to have a baby because we knew that would at least put us on a more even level.
For sure.
And much like because people wanted us to join that Boomer tournament for Valorant, which was 30 and older or 28 and older. And we were like, yeah, okay, a 29-year-old and us are way different now. Like, I need a dad tournament.
There it is. Of course it is.
I need a dad tournament is what I need.
Hey, I'm down for that.
Yeah. So, and also it'll be much easier now. Once you start doing your podcast again, you'll realize how wonderful it is to use that as an excuse to go play video games. Like, oh, sorry, babe. Can you watch the baby tonight? Because I got this thing I got to do for the show.
Oh, 100%. For the show. Purely for the show, guys.
Oh. Like, I
don't for the listener.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, babe. Believe me, I don't want to go play video games right now. I wish I could watch Gilmore Girls with you for the 100th time, but I got to go play for the show. So we'll figure it out. Let's say before the New Year's, in between now and then, we can figure out a weekend to do best of 3 League of Legends. So there's that. All right. Now, let's get it on to probably not the most main event. That's probably what people are more interested in, to be honest with you. But we did have Worlds wrap up. We had you on prior to give us a little preview. And, Kevin, I will give credit where credit is due. In our Discord, we did a little Discord bracket pick'em challenge, and I believe you were the winner.
Out of everybody, I think so. Even out of most of my friend groups, I was personally surprised at how right a lot of my predictions were because I was kind of haphazardly just kind of like, well, yeah, I've seen the trend here and there, but in the end, Damn One Gaming taking it all. I predicted that they would win the entire tournament up against Suning. I had the right grand finals and everything. My semifinal bracket was almost perfect, save for one thing. I thought Fnatic would be able to overcome Top Esports. I even said to my friend group it was going to be a best of five. Fnatic would take it. It went to 5 games. Fnatic was one team fight away from taking it, but in the end, Top Esports toppled my dreams of a perfect bracket in the semifinal, in the knockout stage, and just blew it all to hell. I think in my group stages, I got everything. I think I got Group D right completely. Everything else was kind of like I missed the top 2 teams coming out of groups, but TSM going 0-6, I predicted they would make it out of the group stage, and boy, oh boy, NA is just hot garbage this year. So I was definitely wrong on
that kind of ruins all of your projections, though. When you
Yeah.
have TSM making it out and then they go 0-6, like I'm trying to figure out how much to trust you right now. I will tell you, with Damwon and Suning both making the finals, that does automatically give you a 1-year extension on our show, and I think I can make the executive call and speak on Tim and I's behalf, but we'll buy you for your services at least for another year with some picks like that. That's coming in pretty clutch. I would have liked to see Fnatic beat Top Esports also, just so we had another EU team, in the semis. Maybe make that a little bit more exciting for some of us viewers who can't seem to buy a team past the group stage. But yeah, I mean, overall, it kind of panned out. It seems like the way most people thought, with Damn One coming out on top, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. LCK is just top tier talent for esports, right? For League of Legends, excuse me. And for the record, out of the 5 million plus brackets submitted, I was top 6.5%. So you know what? I will take the 1-year extension, boys. I will take it.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid for sure.
Damn, for sure. Damn One though, they'll take that trophy all the way back to Korea from China. And I don't know if you guys are watching the broadcast at all, but Chinese, the audience in China hates Korean players. When the introductions were made for Damn One, zero, not even a boo, not a whoop, nothing. It was just dead silent. Versus Suning coming out, it was the 11, I think it was like 11,000 people in the stadium, just cheering the crap out of Suning. I was shocked. I'm not shocked. Let's be honest. Chinese teams and Chinese audiences are notoriously very fanatical in their.
It is funny though that you mentioned this, because for whatever reason, me being ignorant on like Chinese, right? I always thought they would just be kind of like pleasant fans regardless, right? They just seem like a culture that would be nice to everyone. But when we were at BlizzCon, it was USA versus China, I believe, in the finals or the semis for the World Cup for Overwatch. And remember, Anuj, that Chinese crowd next to us, they were pretty. I think they did like the same thing. Like, it wasn't even that they were booing the USA team. It's just straight up like death chills.
But I'm personally very much okay with that.
I love it.
Home country cheering for their home team against a rival competitor.
I've often thought
I did see a lot of like hate on Twitter for like or like calling it disrespectful or whatever for not acknowledging Damn One, and I was like, dude, this is a home game for them. Go to any traditional sports game, and there's a couple of fans that are out there rooting for the other team, but 90+% of the stadium should be going for the home team. So I mean, the way they did it, I thought that was great. Like it hyped me up just a little bit more, right? I was already going for the underdog just because I wanted to see an upset, right? I didn't get to watch the whole finals. I did catch the last 2 games when I woke up. But yeah, I was very much like okay with how they treated Damn One on their entrance. Like I just didn't think I wouldn't have expected anything else, so.
Oh, 100%. It's just, I prefer when fans are hostile, not obviously not like to the point of violence, but just have a little fun with it, be jeer everybody, cheer your team. That's how it should be, especially when you're, like you said, you're the home crowd Suning in your home stadium in China. Yeah, embellish it. I love it. Do it all. I think esports fans are a little bit too soft nowadays, and a lot of us who are have been around the scene a little bit longer.
That's the whole country, Kevin. That's
the whole country.
That's the whole country. It's not just esports fans. We've come to realize.
Though
Everybody's a little soft nowadays.
Esports is
so
pretty
right.
rough. Esports is pretty rough. Looking at you, Overwatch fans.
Oh my god! Don't even get me started on Overwatch
Like,
fans.
Overwatch fans get bent over, and like they still love the game, though. So even if we're calling them soft, they take more heat than anybody else.
But they're also
esports.
Soft.
They are kind of soft.
You had people at the. Well, we won't get into it. But they're soft. Let me tell you that. All right, so Kevin, let me ask you this then, because like you said, you did had TSM. At least getting out of groups. They did the exact furthest thing from it and going 0-6. Would that be your biggest disappointment then of Worlds?
100%. I mean, this team going into Worlds had everything going for it. It had the perfect mix of players, experience, and a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to knock off. And to go in, understandably, it's a tough stage. I'm not going to say Group C was easy by any means. Gen G, Fnatic, LGD are all very tough teams going into this. But to say they couldn't take at least one game from those three teams, not even a game from Fnatic, not a game from LGD, you just literally fell over backwards and just let them have at it. And it was a buffet for everybody who wasn't named TSM in that group stage. It was just to say disappointing would be an understatement. It was beyond disappointing. Let's be honest. And then I'm sure you'll ask me questions about it later about the change happening on the roster. But they needed something big after this, and to say that 0-6 is what you should be okay with is completely wrong.
So then let's. Go ahead, Anuj. Go ahead.
Well, what does need to happen for NA, because NA is notoriously struggled in this stage, right? Like in the sense of we don't have any championships to show for it. Very rarely are we really competing late into the playoff stage. And so like what needs to happen for NA to at least be like competitive, right? Like to make it out of group stage or like to have somebody consistently do that. What needs to change in the landscape for NA in your opinion?
For NA, I mean, you just look at the Korean and Chinese scenes. They have an amateur circuit that works. Their amateur circuit has churned out hundreds of great talents that we don't even get to see in the LCK. In the LCK, we see them more often in EU than anything else. But for now, it just seems like the amateur circuit is relegated just to the academy scene, TSM Academy, C9 Academy, those kind of minor league teams, if you will. There needs to be a bit of an expansion and more of an outreach of scouting when it comes to an amateur circuit. Right now, NA doesn't have that. EU is kind of in the thick of getting it going a little bit more in recent years, but NA has just been very lackluster in their attempts to get a decent amateur scene out there. And it's showing at this point that the current talent of TSM and teams like FlyQuest, Team Liquid, it's just not enough to overcome a culture of esports from China and Korea. And that's what it comes down to. If you don't have that culture backing you up when you're building these teams, you're not going to succeed. Let me say this. Out of the 10 Worlds tournaments out of the past 10 years, obviously, 16 of them have come from China and Korea. 16 championships total. 16 runner-ups total. Only 4, and those 4 have only been Europeans, have come out to be a runner-up or a champion. So there's obviously a trend going here where you see 16 Korean/Chinese teams all literally compete at the highest level, and NA, EU get tossed aside for the most part. I mean, obviously, G2 was an exception in years past.
Yeah, you have your outliers.
Yeah, but for the most part, the trend has held true, and I don't see it changing in the foreseeable, I guess, I'll say 3 years. I don't see it changing anytime soon.
So let me ask you this then, for someone who just doesn't really follow the league scene that much at all, is that on NA side for the academy, is that lack of interest on the org side, or just lack of interest that there's just not that many NA talent that are young anymore wanting to go through academy and everything?
It's probably a combination of both, but I'd say it's mostly the lackluster academy kind of support because these academy teams, they get churned over left and right every split. Between every summer spring split, you'll see news coming out that FlyQuest dumps out their entire academy roster. Sells it off to some other team. They buy some other small amateur league team, and that's their new academy team. It just has to have some more kind of support. It needs to be a better infrastructure base that I don't know if NA can really muster. When there is a bit of waning interest in league right now, because it's a 10-year video game, a 10-year esport. Is it attracting the players that it should? We'll see once once Riot puts out their annual player viewership statistics like they do every year. But for now, it seems to just it has to be on NA's doorstep that they have to literally build it up. They can't just depend on the teams. They can't just depend on some rank and file guy out of some small suburb to build it up for them. They have to build it themselves.
So what I'm hearing is don't bet on NA anytime soon. Like that's what I'm getting out of this conversation, because what you're saying needs to happen, I think for that to happen requires years of work to build that kind of infrastructure, and something that should have been happening years ago, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if that's still the way it is today from an academy standpoint, we've seen that hurt a newer game. We go back to Overwatch in this scenario of how like the Contenders League has essentially been a shit show in terms of how it's been run and the support that it's getting. And now what do you see, right? Like all these teams splitting up, and it's just more of a, hey, let's move these players around. You three go over here, and it's just kind of mixing and matching the same group of players and not really bringing in new talent. I don't think League is the only one that has this problem, though. Like if we say Overwatch, Counter-Strike is seeing that from an NA standpoint also of how do you grow that amateur talent? And the countries that are willing to support that and do that the best, tend to be the ones that are probably going to go the furthest ultimately, because there's always somebody in waiting to take your spot. Like it makes the starters try a little bit harder. Obviously the retirement recently from TSM, like I don't ever feel like it's a good sign when a player retires, because that means he's probably been there too long. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not retiring at the peak. You're generally retiring when you feel like you're falling off, or falling off a lot, right? And so when you get to that point, it just shows there was never anybody there to really push him to take his spot.
No, for sure. And like you said, the countries that support their amateur leagues, China and Korea, they've done this for the past 15 years or so. Korea literally has, I think, a total of 10 channels on their network televisions. They can tune in, watch esports any time of the day. There's little cafes and bars dedicated to watching esports all over the place in Korea. China as well. They're really ramping up their esports entertainment scene, if you will. And it's showing that the support from not even from a country, mostly from a culture, from your citizens to help out and really build this thing up. It helps out a lot. You build the amateur scene there. You get the talent. You scout that talent. Sign them, put them on a roster, win championships. That's the formula right there. Now, as to, I'm glad you brought up the Overwatch thing, because they've had a bevy of retirements this past year alone. And like you said, these guys, they should be retiring when they feel like they're falling off. And that's kind of the sensation I'm getting too.
Overwatch's retirements are a little bit different, though.
Fair enough.
We call them retirements. They're really like, hey, I'm moving to Valorant, or I'm going to I'm going to play League, or I'm going to do anything else but play this right now. So the retirements for League and Overwatch are slightly different or a little bit different motivation behind them, I would say.
I would agree. I'm just poking fun at Overwatch.
I know,
for sure. But for the most part, like you said, it comes down to supporting that B tier league behind the big major league. If you don't have that kind of support, I don't see you winning any championships anytime soon.
So this guy then on TSM who retired and now moving to coach, is it Yerksen?
Bjergsen.
Yerksen?
Bjergsen, yes sir.
Bjergsen. All right. I'll take your word on it. You were
the top name. He's a big name, Tim.
You were the top 6% of the bracket challenge. So I'll take your word on how to pronounce his name. All right. So this is my take with him. He retires, I see, for the first 48 hours on how he's a legend. And, I mean, even Anuj talked about him a little bit on the show, everything here. And then, lo and behold, he had 48 hours of sunshine and confetti. And then Thorin comes out saying, pump the brakes here, world. He's not that great. Are we being NA homers to him being on TSM? Or is Thorin just doing what Thorin does and shits on everything NA?
Thorin is just doing what Thorin does best. He's contrarian to a fault because that's what gets clicks for him, which is, that's just Thorin's way of doing things. That's fine with that's if you're going to be the Skip Bayless of the esports world, have at it. Okay, Thorin? Jeez, that guy always gets under my skin with his league opinions.
Does him moving to coach though hurt NA, or was it his time to move? Like, was it his time to move on?
You could argue that it was his time to move on. I mean, let me put it this way: when you have an ESPN TV ticker that says Bjergsen retires after winning 6 championships
during the World Final or during the World Series, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's that should tell you all you need to know. ESPN does not get coverage on that ticker to just anything. It's literally has to be something that enough people care about. They'll be like, oh, that's a big news thing we should really be aware of. Now, it wasn't his time. He's been playing in NA specifically for about 5 years, playing in Europe total for about 7 years, his League of Legends career. 7 years in esports time, let's be honest, that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a very long time in esports time. Obviously, fatigue can set in after a few years. You kind of have that feeling of like, I can't keep doing this. I'm kind of shot. The mentality of just playing it day after day, scrimming 8 hours a day, it wears on you, as it should. Him moving to coach is something TSM did need, because right now their pre-coach was Parth, who was the general manager who was filling in mid-season. Obviously, you need somebody more dedicated to that role. And Bjergsen fills that in quite nicely. He's also, he has a stake in ownership. He has a literal, backing to make this organization succeed. If it doesn't succeed, it falls on him at this point, right?
I hear Double Lift has a stake in ownership, so to speak.
He does, but Double Lift has a smaller ownership a stake in ownership. But
how small?
I think if Bjergsen has like a 0.5% of a Bjergsen, I guess. I don't know.
Does Double Lift's stake in ownership grow at all?
Depending on if he moves into an ownership role. But from what I'm hearing,
Kevin is so
Double
professional. Nothing phases him. We're talking
No.
about how Double Lift is in a relationship with ownership.
Oh,
the stake he has in ownership is his penis.
No. I got it. It's a sex joke. I get it.
Yeah. Penis, sex, all,
yes.
all kind of.
You have a baby.
No, it is funny because Double Lift did mention after Bjergsen retired that he was also considering possibly stepping off of the roster. I find that to be an interesting thing to come out and say, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want my stars to at least let me know that that's creeping into their mind, right? Like I start to then question if you're performing poorly. I start to question your motivation. How bad do you really want it at that point? And so I think that was a little bit of a tricky statement for him to come out and say like, oh yeah, after his retirement, I also considered retiring. Like I feel like you're 1 foot out the door at that point, and now it's only going to get harder, right? Without your leader there to kind of guide you. Granted, he's there in a coaching perspective now, but a lot of this is going to fall on his shoulders. Maybe not rightfully so, but he is the biggest name kind of remaining on that team. And so there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to perform next year, coming off of like an 0-6, Worlds event. Like he just made it tougher for himself. I didn't really understand him coming out and saying that. Great that he was honest. It's just I think that statement like that's gonna hurt him ultimately.
It's funny you brought up motivation to play, because that just reminds me, Double Lift had a stint with Team Liquid for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Only this past split did he really that they both severed ties and just kind of moved on from each other. During the last few weeks of Double Lift's tenure with Team Liquid, his motivation came into play a lot. And that was something that was brought up again recently with the retirement comments, just like you said, Anuj. That got me thinking as well, like, would he continue playing if he just kind of knew, retirement was on the horizon? And that's a question TSM has to answer this offseason and before the upcoming spring split come in March. We don't know. I've certainly, like you said, if I was an owner or any other player on that team, I wouldn't like my next in command to literally say, "Oh yeah, our captain just left. Yeah, I kind of also considered retiring for about a week." And I said, "Nah." What kind of comments are you making like that? This you're not even thinking about the implication. And so I agree. It'll be a very strange situation if his motivation comes back into play come this next spring split.
Well, Kevin, from what I understand, NA is still in trouble, and we'll definitely have to have you back on before next season starts up, because I'm sure off-season moves and everything are in play as always, as they always are with League. I at least know that much in League, is they don't mess around with off-season. Lots of shuffle. Lots of shuffle.
Can we get your 2 early predictions for 2021, and then we'll let you have another chance to do predictions before the season actually starts?
I'll say this. I think Double Lift stays with TSM. I think Team Liquid makes a big move in their mid lane. Little heads up. Jensen has been having recent retirement talks as well. Not sure how serious he is about that, but that's something that could be picked up soon. So you could see TSM and Liquid vying for mid lane free agents, depending on their needs in this offseason. So big prediction, I'll say Double Lift will play through the spring split at least. Team Liquid will rob TSM of a very important mid laner. Probably going to be I think his name is Choxi, something out of Korea. And they will pick him up instead of TSM. Chovy, sorry, his name is Chovy from DRX. Big, dramatic, controversial guy. Look him up. He's on Twitter like crazy. He's a weird guy.
DRX made it through groups in Worlds, right? I mean,
yep.
Well, it sounds like it'd be a good pickup then.
Let's go.
All right.
NA. Let's bring up the hype for NA, right? And then
bring all those Korean players in to boost up NA. Let's do it. I agree.
Are we Dallas Fuel now, bringing Koreans again?
Look, man, if it works. Honestly, I think what's the best thing for NA League of Legends will be the TCR versus free-to-play challenge.
Let's do it.
That will probably turn things around. So we will hash out a date sometime here in the near future. We got some things we also need to do, so we'll figure it out, Kevin. We'll keep in touch. You have my number. Congratulations again on the baby. I'll let you get back to work so you can squeeze in another nap before you have to go home.
Thank you so much. I need it.
Appreciate you finding time to do this, man. I know obviously, but I'm going through new fatherhood also, so I understand the struggle. So appreciate you taking a few minutes to hang out with us.
I'm about a few months I'm behind on your timeline, so we'll find out how I am in the next few months. So
let me know if you need anything, brother. We're here for you.
Thank you, guys. Dadcast away.
Love it.
Later. All right, so there it is. There is Kevin from the Free to Play Esports podcast, as always, with the League of Legends goodness. Top 6%.
That's pretty impressive.
Not bad. I was actually crushing it on my bracket predictions up until the semis. And then
But even if you told me you got top 5%, it wouldn't mean shit to me. Because I'd be like, you just guessed.
Or would I? Maybe I put in the work.
I would still hire Kevin for another year if you had a higher percentage than him.
It's like the year my father won fantasy football when he drafted defense and kicker in the first and second round. It was like everything you thought you knew about all the fantasy experts were just shattered. So yeah, thanks again to Kevin for coming on the show. We'll definitely figure out a day for the challenge, so that way we can let all of our listeners know ahead of time and watch that live, because one of us will definitely stream it from our perspective. Or if we can get casters, we're always, for when we do these challenge nights and everything like that, if ever you wanted to cast a game, feel free to hit us up. If this was your first time ever doing it and you just wanted to give it a shot, I don't care. Hit us up, right? Let this be the start of your casting career.
Just don't let the conversation start with how much are y'all paying me.
Yeah, that's this is what do they call in esports? Volunteer work.
This volunteer work. This is your chance to make a name for yourself.
This is just
it might look, if you do it might give you confidence. That's hopefully what it does.
Look, and this is all
right? Like,
stemming
that's the
from
goal.
Yes, this is all stemming from a young Tim, a young me who used to want to do sports play-by-play, and I tried doing sports play-by-play and sucked so much at it. I'm glad I learned at an early age that that was not in my future. So this could be the moment you realize that your dream is dead. So let us be that outlet for you.
Let us be that crutch in your life.
Yes, this could be your moment to shine or your wake up moment where you're like, damn, I suck. Speaking of, and I hate it, Anuj, when people in esports ask for volunteer work because, people deserve to get paid. And I do hate it. If we were to ask for free volunteer work and help with the show, which we're not, because I hate it. If ever you want to help out with editing some videos, we want to start doing some clips to throw up from our shows onto YouTube's kind of breaking down segments, things like that. Things we just don't have the so much knowledge or time to do so. If you want to help out, which I would never ask because I hate when people ask for free volunteer work. No. This is just, disgusting, a disgusting trait that esports has. If you're interested, you can always approach us if there's something you could do for free. But I would never ask for it because it's disgusting. So that's also work. We always... we've been wanting to work a little bit more on YouTube, and just cutting up the show and into segments might be something that we want to do if we had the help. There's that. Some other house cleaning to get to before Yikes of the Week. We did tweet out earlier today, Yikes. I'm sorry, not Yikes. The Timmies. So most likely, plans pending, December 23rd. Because that will be a perfect time for us to go on our holiday hiatus and everything there. So, December 23rd, write it in pencil on your calendar. That will be the Timmies. Wife's schedule pending, right? They could always tell us, nope. And
it'll be right around there for sure.
It would be around there. Yeah. So write it in. We've already gotten some category and nominee ideas. So we got BDP, Big Dick Play of the Year. I think I saw one on Twitter where it was either the worst or maybe both. I think I got one on Discord for the best roster move and the worst roster move of the year.
I like that.
So I like those. And a handful of others. So if you have ideas for a category, hit us up. And if you have ideas for nominees for that category or other categories, hit us up. And we'll always include that on the award show as well. All right. So there's some house cleaning items to get to. Let's get into some Yikes of the Week. I'll start because I actually don't have an esports related Yikes, but it is a video game Yikes. Cyberpunk has been delayed yet again, for those who saw the news maybe a week or so ago. And I believe, I'm a firm believer, Anuj, in the statement of a delayed game is better than a rushed game, which is why Halo Infinite will be the best game of all time. However, that's only if you're using it to work on the game. But Cyberpunk has been gold. It's been green-lit. It's completed. What it's delayed for now is because they want it to be ready to release on all outlets at the same time. Meaning, and they said this in their statement, current, next-gen consoles, and Stadia. It's good to go on PC. We could have it right now on PC if we wanted to. But because it can't be running in a perfect condition on consoles and Stadia of all things. Could you imagine, take all the crazy things that have happened in 2020, a game being delayed because it won't run on Stadia has to be the craziest thing that's happened this year.
That has to be like Stadia's dream to be in that announcement.
Oh my God, they noticed us.
My gosh, they make it seem like we have a user base. That's super impressive. I mean, this is more of a yikes because this is just the fourth delay.
Yeah.
I get it. If you're going to delay it, push it out and then try to stand firm on a date. Maybe you have to do it again, obviously with COVID and all that. I get it. Things are a little bit tougher, but this is just the fourth delay. And this one is 10 days, 12 days before release. So that kind of sucks because I know there's so many people looking forward to getting their hands on it. The good thing is it's 21 days
it's not
out
crazy
so from their expected release date, so it's not not a crazy delay, but it's just a yikes because it's like delay number 4. Like, how many times are you going to make the same statement?
For
Like,
Stadia,
yeah,
of all things.
they shouldn't have said that. They just should have
leave
said
it
it's
out.
not ready.
Just said like, guys, it's sorry, we discovered some unknown bug. We're working on it. Don't you worry. I wish we could tell you more, but top secret stuff. Sorry.
I would have loved that better. Like, oh gosh, hey, they need to fix that because
Wow,
that
it
could
must be
ruin the
something
game.
big, man. This must be a big bug they got to fix. So either way, I'm what's funny is I wasn't that interested in Cyberpunk until like maybe a month ago. And now that it's like finally almost here, I'm excited and they keep pushing it back, but I'm also excited because it looks like pre-built websites are starting to get the 3 series, 30 series, 300 series, whatever. So new PC right around the corner for your old Timmy boy. 980 is out the door.
Getting chunked.
Served me well though. Served me well.
It did.
Uh,
Still
our-
serving well.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. What is your yikes?
Mine puts us in like a dream scenario, Tim, because this dream would have only come to fruition had certain decisions been made in the last couple of weeks here. And it turns out, based on an interview from Nico, he kind of let out something, Tim, and I only make this a yikes because I know it could potentially break your heart in half. And you know me, I'm always open to that opportunity. If I can make you feel a little something in that darkened, blackened heart of yours, I'm going to give it a go. And so Nico recently released in an HLTV interview that when he was talking to Hunter about joining a team, they had discussions of not only G2, but should they leave to form a roster with Alex on Cloud9? And it just got me thinking of how different your excitement and enthusiasm, because you're still excited for the Cloud9 roster, but there's also that wait and see type mindset, right? Because as good as Alex is, Woxic has had his ups and downs. Floppy has had his ups and downs. S-Tag, we don't know that much about in the sense that he was playing in a fill-in role at the end of the day, right? Like, it's not like he was a starter on Astralis. So we could have had a dream scenario where this was like...
People are like, wow, S-Tag played really well on Astralis. Look at the Bulls. Bulls in the 90s, everyone played well, okay? When you're playing with the number 1 team, you could probably play well.
Like, Steve Kerr is going to the Hall of Fame because he played alongside Michael Jordan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You put Steve Kerr on any other team, people aren't like, here we go. We got it, right? It's more than that.
What would have made that a potential lineup would have looked like with Alex, obviously Hunter, Nico, Woxic, and then maybe like Floppy or Mezzi as that 5th player, whoever they would choose to keep on. But man, that is that was a little heartbreaking to see, because I would have loved, if you're going balls deep, Tim, and you had a chance to maybe lock up Nico and Hunter. I don't know how far they could have pushed. I don't know what the money would have been. I'm sure it would have been a lot. It sounds like they made the decision because of the RMR points, the fact that Hunter was already on G2 and was comfortable with that organization. G2 is a proven organization, so there was like a lot of pluses. There's no reason for them not to choose G2. But again, this became almost a fictional yikes of like what could have been, and it was right there at the cusp. Still have a lot of potential on this Cloud9 roster, but obviously G2 came out the winners.
But you're right, because now it will be in my head every Cloud9 loss of we could have had Nico.
Yeah.
Right? It will always be the, like, what if, what if your team didn't pass on Brady for the first 100 and whatever picks that he was, right? It's now turned into what ifs, and man, do you remember wins? And, like I said, I still have some faith in Cloud9. You can't knock this roster just yet before they've even played an official match, but knowing that, Nico thought... I'll tell you what, can I put a positive twist on not getting Nico?
Yeah.
The fact that he considered Cloud9 makes me feel good, though. Like, the fact that he thought, hey, this might work out on this org is like, okay, he saw something with the org, so that's gotta count for something.
Yeah, and you'd think if they get Hunter and they get Nico, that could have changed the path of who their 4th and 5th even were, right? Because I'm sure more people would have potentially been interested in joining that roster. Again, just a crazy what if scenario. I would have loved to see something like that happen, but I think this could be a win, obviously, for both sides still.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there is your yikes of the week. Let's get into some Valorant talk, as we did have the Nerd Street Gaming First Strike wrap up over the weekend on a Friday, right? It wrapped up on Friday,
The 30th,
which was Friday. First off,
yeah, Friday.
I love Nerd Street Gaming. I love Riot. And ending an event on a Friday?
It's a little weird, isn't it?
Like, it threw my entire weekend off. Like, this feels like it was 2 weeks ago.
Maybe I don't know how much I necessarily care, to be honest with you, as long as the main event. Now I'm checking the main event. So the main event at least ends on a Sunday, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is still
just qualifiers,
qualifying session, but like a big one, right? It's Riot's like first real involvement with getting it going. This is a big opportunity for Nerd Street to obviously be that closely partnered with them. So yeah, unusual call, but at the end of the day, these are more important for like seeding and then also seeing who's not making that top 16, right? Like I don't care as much about in the sense of like the order of the top 16, right? Like the seeding, because they're all going into groups of four
right?
anyway. It's not like this is going to a NCAA style bracket in the next round where it's one plays 16 and two plays 15 and so forth. Like they're getting sorted up into groups of four groups of four. So for me, the takeaway from this first weekend was who missed out, right? Like what big names or what teams did we think put themselves in position to obviously be in the top 16, but fell a little short. And there were a couple of them, right? Like that we had Immortals not make it through. Granted, this is a little bit of a newer Immortals roster after losing so many players. We had the newly formed NRG fall short, losing to Complexity.
And I bet you that one stung a little bit for NRG because they've been on record saying that they waited to get into Valorant, right? They said right now the money is hot and contracts are high. We're going to wait for an entry point. So then they finally committed. They have a team. And then to lose your first matchup against Complexity, which isn't a terrible team, but it's also not one of these orgs that people are like talking about being a top 5.
It's not one of the elites in NA, right? And so you would have liked to put yourself in position to be one of those elites. I think losing that game is disheartening. It's not like doesn't mean NRG sucks or anything, but it's definitely a disheartening loss. Daps was minus 14, looks like for that series. Exceed was minus 22. But, Som and EEIU, I think it's great to see EEIU playing at a high level. He got a second opportunity to play on a tier 1 team and proved himself in that event. But for NRG, again, a little bit of a sting, but it's your first event. You kind of suck it up and move on. I think the biggest one, Tim, I'm going to say Anbox just because they're coming off of a tournament win. Granted, we didn't have all the best teams in NA available in that tournament, but nonetheless, like Anbox won it. They have Android. They have a lot of the bigger names actually in the league in the sense of Android, Poach, who brings a huge Fortnite following, fan base with him. And then Yay as well. Obviously, these guys are like very, very well-known CS players. And so, for them to fall a little bit short, and they did get 2-0'd by Luminosity, again, probably hurts them a little bit more than some of the other ones that fell short. And last but not least, Tim, FaZe Clan. For FaZe Clan, like I'm sure there is a lot of money behind this Fortnite team or behind this Valorant team. I say that just because the players that they pulled from Overwatch were like considered upper echelon players, right? Your Baby Bays, your Corey's, Rockets, at least well known, right? Zachary and then Marv.
I mean, World Cup winners, right?
Yeah, we're like World Cup winners. Obviously, Corey, probably kind of leading the group in terms of skill wise. You're from this core, but for them to once again fall a little bit short, they lost to Equinox, and it's just one of those things where that's got to be disheartening because they kind of started off well, but there's so many questions. But them being a full Overwatch team, like there's so many eyes on them almost just because of that reason. there's probably a lot of people like, oh, look, there it is, like the Overwatch boys not getting it done, when we're kind of seeing like Sinatra and these guys on different teams like really kill it, right? And Corey individually is like killing it. But yeah, for like FaZe and Box, that's pretty disheartening.
So,
NRG, like there was a handful of big names that didn't make the top 16.
so then looking at the teams that did move on, did make the top 16, regardless of who won, right? I mean, I guess we can come back and say Cloud9 won. They beat Envy in the finals. At the end of the day, it's a feel-good story for them, but it's still just everyone moved on. Top 16 moves on to the next round of the big event, right? So that's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. So then, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it does. Like, obviously, I think it's just getting through, right? Like, that's what these teams were looking forward to. But I think it also says something that we did see Gen G 2-0 Sentinels. Like, that's a meaningful game in my eyes, more so for probably Gen G than it is for Sentinels. But, like, now you see a little bit of a chink, right? We haven't seen, like, Sentinels really get pushed around the way they kind of did in that matchup. I think both games were actually quite dominating. Yeah, it was 13-6, 13-5. Like, it's not like they just lost. They really got manhandled in that matchup just for Gen G to lose in the next round ultimately, right? Like, they didn't make it past Envy. I think that was one of the meaningful games. I think T1, Tim, was another team that you and I kind of consistently look at just to see where they're at, if anything, just for the intrigue. Where are you on their performance from this event?
If I was a T1 fan, not loving it, not hating it, but I just think with the hype around that roster going into it, and I think the way it was created, right? I think looking back on it now, we can all kind of take a peek behind the curtain and realize there was more going on than what we had originally believed, right? When Skadoodle decided to take a step back to work on his quote-unquote hero pool, right? Meanwhile, you had 2 players dropped from the roster in Food and Crashies.
Both on Envy.
Both now on Envy, who got second place at the event, mind you. I don't think them getting dropped, looking back on it, and maybe this is all in hearsay in retrospect, was because of their performance. I think this was the iBuyPower boys wanted their guys in, and so they dropped the 2 outsiders to bring in Dazed, and of course the Spider not being a part of that. But I think that was ultimately the end goal. And
yeah,
so I think with that, there's a lot of pressure on them. That makes
sense, right? Like, if they wanted their group of players, like, I get it. I think why this stings even more is when you get knocked out by Envy, who has Food and Crashies. Oh, and by the way, for the 3 maps, the top player across the maps was Food. Guess who number 2 was? Crashies. Like, that kind of sucks a little bit, right? Like, that hurts a little bit more. And then to talk about the way they got knocked out. First map, relatively close, like 13-7, sure, but they won that map. They lost map 2, 13-11. So again, another close one on Bind. And then you go on to Split, everybody's favorite map, and you get smoked 13-1. And that's how your tournament ends. I think that's what hurts the most for T1 is you lost to your 2 former players, but then you got smacked on your way out, right? So you really don't know. I feel like you're still kind of learning about yourself in that moment, right? When you lose that bad on that stage, then you start to kind of question, like, oh shit, like we have a little bit more to work on than we thought. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that'll get them into gear. Obviously, 100 Thieves was on a lot of people's eyes for this event, wanting to see Steel, Hiko, Nitro, and then the 2 new additions in Asuna and Dicey kind of all come together. It was interesting because, Tim, if you recall, this tournament started with the patch and play, although not the new map and the new agent, Sky, but it did start with like the money and the cipher changes and some of these things. Then it obviously got reverted early on. So it was fun to see Steel on Killjoy quite a bit. I think he mained her primarily for all 3 maps. And to see how he was using her, if you're a Killjoy main, go watch some of that gameplay because you'll learn a couple of new tricks that he threw out there. But I thought for 100 Thieves, this was a good showing, right? Like, yes, you lost, you got knocked out ultimately by TSM, but that's not an embarrassing thing to do. Like, TSM's generally regarded as one of the best teams in NA. top 3, top 4 team for sure, right? But for 100 Thieves, I think that was a pretty good start, getting yourself through. I loved the 128 team bracket style event because it's so
Yeah.
rare to see something like that, and you truly feel like it's a gauntlet when you get to the end. Like, you feel like these teams accomplish something to
We
get
didn't
there.
we didn't get our, like how we talked with Van Silly last episode, we didn't get our like huge upset, right? I didn't get my first round I don't want to say a team that we're friends with. T1. We didn't get that T1 knockout first round, right? Or anything like that. But I do agree, like it and I said it last episode, I love the opportunity to allow these orgless teams, these Cinderella stories, to progress and get as far as they can. Now, will they win? No. It's just, that's not how this works. But they can be noticed, right? And that's what I love about it, is it gives you that dream hack land, like that old school esports vibe, right? Going to MLG with your boys from your school, right? Signing up for the Halo or the Call of Duty tournament and just playing it out. Your first round could be against FaZe Clan and you're like, holy shit, this is insane, right?
Even if you lose, what an opportunity,
Right, exactly. So I do think that's cool. We did have the slimy boogerman, right? The orgless team progress, right? So we did have that orgless team progress through. So I'm glad to see that, and that's what I love about those.
And spot up, like, I'm not even familiar with
Yeah, I think they're
anybody on that team, and
orgless, right?
yeah,
Spot
like,
up.
and it just, again, there were, XSET, a team, or EXSET, depending on how you're supposed to say that. Obviously, that's like the former FaZe investors kind of starting up their New York. So there's a couple of new names that at least are going to be there in the next event, right? Like, we're going to get to watch them for another weekend, and that's only good for those guys. So I think we're set up for a good second round, like the true like close qualifier number 1 session, I guess you could say. I think we're set up. We got majority of the best teams in there, a couple of outliers that are then going to be exciting to cheer for, and just looking forward to now they're all going to play like everything is on the line, because it truly is, right? This is where you get eliminated at this point. So I'm excited moving forward for this event.
Quick glance, I know everyone loves, because now we have group stages. I mean, this is almost like a mini major, right? If you really kind of want to look at it with the amount of teams that it started with, now we're in group stages. Quick glance on paper, Group C would be your group of death with Envy, Sentinels, Dignitas, and Spot Up. However, I will tell you, don't sleep on Group A and B. It just depends, though, with like Group B, what T1 shows up. Are you going to have the T1 that struggles against Envy and doesn't really have that spark? But I think like them and 100 Thieves have that potential to just flip it on at any moment. They have, at least on paper, they have the talent, they have the players. We just haven't seen it yet on Valorant, but bound to happen.
So let's do a quick 30-second run through of picking our top 2 from each bracket here.
All right.
And see where we stand at the end of the week. So Group A, go first.
Group A, we have Cloud9 Blue, which is the boys team, 100 Thieves, Luminosity Gaming and XSET. Give me Cloud9 and 100 Thieves.
Okay, so we're the same there. So we'll just move on. Group B, we have Gen G, Equinox, T1, and Complexity. I'll go first on this one here, and I'm going to say Gen G, and I'm going to give T1 the nod, although I think that's a much closer matchup than, T1's going to have the fanboys behind them, I think, rooting them along. But I think this is a very tough group also, but I'm going to go with Gen G and T1.
All right, so with me, I am going to actually go a little different here, Gen G and Complexity. And that's just because I'm not completely sold on T1 yet.
Look, Equinox is rated higher than T1 is in the standings right now. Complexity is actually the lowest rated team in that group, and again, that's another team that, like we said, they have a lot of talent on there. So that's a tough group.
Yeah, and that's where I think Group B could almost be your group of death, just because they're more closer in skill, right? It all depends on what you look. A group of death is either you have 2 dominating teams, or they're all dominating, or they're all closer to skill. Group B
like
to
where
me is,
everybody you feel like has a chance to advance
yes,
through.
exactly. Group B could be anyone's game. Group C, you have Envy, Sentinels, Dignitas, Spot Up. I think Dignitas had their moment in the spotlight a couple events ago where they surprised people with their new roster. I think that moment is gone. Give me Team Envy and Sentinels.
Yeah, I think those are the obvious picks for that group, although we're calling this the group of death. Like, this would have been more dangerous had it been an Envy Dignitas matchup in my mind, and then Sentinels going against Spot Up. I think Sentinels are going to be able to handle Dignitas relatively easily. I think they're going to bring their A game for this event and give them a lot of trouble. And I think Envy will be able to handle Spot Up, and so that makes that a little bit of an easier pick to like who's going to just jump through early before they drop to lower. So yeah, I'll go with Envy and Sentinels there as well. And then in Group D, we have TSM, Built by Gamers, Slimy, and Renegades.
TSM, and well, sure, why not Renegades?
This is definitely not the group of death. Okay, I think it's fair to say that.
Yeah, no, that one. I mean, it'll be cool to see if Built by Gamers or Slimy, Boogerman go through, but I just don't. This is that group where you'll save when you are running out of time because there's not a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. This probably differ a little bit. I'll go with TSM and Built by Gamers here. Renegades had a rough showing in their last event, although they're ranked, I think, 12, 13 in the world right or NA right now. Slimy's also been fairly decent, but Built by Gamers has a couple of good guys, like Foe, Bjor. These guys have been decent so far. So I'm going to give them the nod, but like slight. I'm not overly confident in
not
that.
Putting money on it.
No. But TSM, if you're looking for a team to bet on in brackets, TSM should easily make it out of their group.
Yeah. Yep. So that all kicks off on the 4th. So here, just a couple days going into it. Last thought for me, just as far as looking at the open qualifiers moving into closed, some surprises moved on. I'm not surprised Envy moved on, but I am surprised on how well they performed. First off, in the finals, if we could just say this, Split sucks. Absolutely is a momentum killer. It's a mood killer for viewers on stream. Split sucks. If you didn't have that map in there, that finals I think would have been a lot closer than what than what it was. Even though it did go to the 3rd map, but that's only because Cloud9 started on defense on Split.
Yeah, Split, is just one of those maps that you hope they're able to do something to make it a little bit more interesting to watch. I think Split's just a tough map in general. It's too one-sided, right? It reminds you of Nuke before the changes.
Yeah, where it's
almost like playing Assault in Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
Like one team starts off in a freaking building that you're supposed to go take. It's a little unfair. The way it is. I would love to go defense first and just know what I have to do on offense, right? Like give me a couple of rounds. But yeah, Envy has performed well so far in Valorant. Like, and I'm not saying that I'm surprised. I'm actually quite pleased with the pickup of Food and Crashies. I thought that was a really smart move on their part. A lot of people see a player dropped, kind of like you see it in Call of Duty, right? You get dropped, and all of a sudden there's this stigma behind you that you're washed up and can't get it done. But I believe in the fact that they have a true IGL. I think, again, most teams probably will say that they lack that, or somebody's being more so forced into that role. And then you got a bunch of fraggers on that team. Caboose, Crashies, and Food are all like super talented players. And so I'm happy with their performance. Like, I think they have to find a way to climb the mountain to the top, though, right? Like, they're getting to a couple of finals. They're making runs. I want to see them kind of close it out at some point. But man, we talk about Cloud9. Tim, this is your baby. Like, this has got to be the team that you're following, because Tens is the best player in Valorant.
Yeah,
he is the best player in Valorant. I think it's like not even really that close for a consistent number 2. He's just so gifted on duelists. It's insane the way he plays Jet, even his Reyna, both just uh, out of this world. And I don't see him like slowing down because he just seems like one of those kids that grinds 24/7, and all he does is want to play. I mean, I think he hit Radiant Tim out of his 3 matchup games. The game gave him Radiant, and that's like game just knows you are godlike at this game, and so that's pretty cool because I do think he is the best player in the league. I think he had the best stats for the event so far with the highest round rating. I think his KD was, I mean, shoot, 1.71 for that event. That is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
So cool to see him. Those guys, look like they're poised to be in position to take number one at some point. Honestly, like I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Cloud9 get up there, because even with Relics, like another just crazy aimer, these guys are poised to compete for a while. It looks like.
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of funny just to see I say new kids on the block. They weren't like the original group in Valorant. Even though they were early on, but their roster wasn't set for a while. So good to see teams like Envy, Cloud9, these newer teams get in there and shake it up a bit. It's not just Sentinels and TSM fighting for that top spot.
Cloud9 White almost made it through, which is like freaking crazy impressive, and both matches were 13-10 against Slimy, and they were right there at almost cracking into top 16. So I want to give them a nod before we kind of wrap up, because that is something we just don't see often in video games, right? First of all, we don't see boys and girls playing together. That just doesn't happen, right? There's generally their own leagues. And so I'm glad they were able to compete in this event, but not only compete, like hell, they more than held their own. So incredibly impressive play by Cloud9 White.
And that will do it there. Like we said, on the 4th, just in a couple days, you'll be able to watch the closed qualifiers for First Strike. Let's get into some e-news, though, to wrap up things here. In CSGO, we have Extremum. Extremum tells you all you need to know. They are looking to sign the former 100 Thieves roster, obviously minus JKS. Okay.
Sure. I asked you when you posted this, I was like, wait, why are we throwing this in here? I have no idea what's going on here. I think it's just more important that 100 Thieves finds a new home, but yeah, I never heard of the org.
I've never heard of the org.
You know what? Look, we talked about new orgs not getting into Counter-Strike often enough, so I'm not going to complain when it does happen.
When I Google just the name, nothing for esports comes up. So there you go. Nico, as we said before, officially moved over to G2 while he played his first match today as they defeated Furia, as we joked about it earlier in the show. Looked good. Maybe Furia has jet lag. Maybe it was beginner's luck. I don't know. But the roster in general looks solid.
Yeah, look, Nico's happy to be out of the IGL role. Nexa is going to take over those duties. Nico will help him out when needed. I think it's more important to note, like, Nico is going back into the role that people are used to seeing the old Nico in, right? Which is a lurker role. And so it's going to be, I think, an easier transition than maybe some people think. Just, he's playing with family. That always is a comforting feeling, right? To have somebody there that you know so well. But he believes in the leadership. He's happy with the coach, and he's happy in his role. So I'm hoping we see like an elevated Nico back to what we've been accustomed to seeing, because it has sucked as of recent for him and Cold, two of the premier players in Counter-Strike, to fall off the way they have. So I hope this brings him back to the Nico that we're all accustomed to seeing, and I think we will see it in this roster given the time, because that's a big win, Tim. Like early on, Furia is like the number one NA team, essentially, maybe behind EUG. They're right there. And they did this on 3 days of practice, so excited to see what this roster turns up to be.
And sad day for Brazilian fans, because you finally have 2 Brazilian teams playing in EU, and one of them will be going home now. So as
Yeah.
MIBR and Inferior are facing off, I believe tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Forza is still under fire. No, not because they hired a old coach that cheats. This time for something new, as they come under fire for recording scrims. Now, to be more specific, they are recording the Go TV side, which allows you to see both teams' perspectives, and that's the issue.
Yeah, you're supposed to get permission before you do that. They say they'll delete it, that it was a mistake, but it's like one bad look after another for
And
Forza.
it's not a mistake.
No,
it is
it's
not. Multiple teams have come out and said, no, we've caught them doing that too.
Before we move on from Counter-Strike news, you're right. MIBR and Furia is tomorrow, 12:30 Central. The bigger matchup for tomorrow, I feel, is G2 and Astralis. So if you didn't get to catch Nico today on the new G2 lineup, you'll be able to do that tomorrow against an Astralis team. A little bit of a better test. Zipnix came back, didn't have a great day. They were able to squeak by MIBR, which, did you see that game at all, Tim? MIBR won the second map.
Yeah.
After they won it, it looked like they won the World Cup. They were yelling and screaming and jumping, and so they're obviously excited. But Astralis didn't look great today, and so you'll have them in G2 tomorrow at 9:30 Central. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome. And just another thing for the cheating accusations, because I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying like, well, what's the big deal? It's a scrim. Aren't you supposed to record it? Again, the point is that they're recording it to where they can see the other team's point of view. It would be like going to a football practice and scrimming and then asking the other team if you could see their playbook, right? Like, look, you can watch the game, you can see that. You cannot see what they're doing from their angle. So it's a completely different type.
It's just like forbidden in CS to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And everybody knows it.
No. Yeah, that one's a given. In Overwatch, Mano released by the NYXL signs with the Philadelphia Fusion. And in both Overwatch and a little bit of COD news here, Paris Eternal and Paris Legion are both owned by the same parent company, of course, rumored to be paying minimum salaries next season. And that's it. That's all they're offering is minimum salaries. They've already released a lot of staff members. I even read that they released like the PR. Like, rumor is not doing great financially.
Releasing PR before a statement like this seems like a bad idea, if you ask me. But I expect to see them to make a Shanghai Dragons kind of run, season 1 Shanghai Dragons kind of run next year in Overwatch League. And good luck in COD. Like, if you're going to be paying minimum salaries, sure, you'll find people, but you're not going to find the ones that you need to compete. So maybe they're banking on the fact that everybody makes champs, and they're going to say they have a chance.
Yeah. And I get it. Times are tough for everyone. Across the board, worldwide, money is not what we thought it was going to be a year ago with COVID and everything else going on. I get it. And if offering minimum salary is what you got to do to keep the lights on and business going, then hey, no shame in that. However, if it's not the case and you're just looking at, like, hey, we spent 40 million out of these two leagues, we got to start making that back. That's a bad look. Bad look. Valorant has bounced back for their latest update. So Sky is back in along with Icebox on the competitive map. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I saw the statement. Is it up for this next round of First Strike?
Sky will not be available for the next round of First Strike.
Okay. All right. I know they'll said which tournaments, but I didn't see
2 weeks of matchmaking, make sure there's no crazy tweaks that need to be done. She's going to change the way you see offense played. She is going to be a pretty deadly character in my mind. Her toolkit's crazy. So I got a chance to play one game with her earlier today. Had some fun doing so. But yeah, she will. She's got a pretty crazy offensive skill set there.
Nice. Looking forward to it. And also with the patches of Killjoy and Cypher kind of plays off with that offensive, right? The quick rotations, things like that. Yep. So obviously we're seeing Riot wanting the game to pick its pace up a little bit. Which I don't think anyone would be against. Battle Royale news. Sorry, Anuj, but PUBG Mobile will no longer be playable in India.
I'll have to use my VPN, unfortunately, now.
I will say, from the one conversation we had with the Indian Overwatch team and how PUBG was just the game over there, does suck. So, it is what it is, I guess. In other news, you put this in the notes here. Ruined King announcement trailer.
Yeah, so it was by Riot Games. It's their League of Legends, like turn-based game that's coming out. So it is a single-player game. It's a turn-based game. That they did the announcement. The trailer looked pretty cool, but it was all cinematics. But if that's something that you enjoy, or the League of Legends, world is something that you have a lot of interest in, this is another way for you to dive deeper. So.
And next, what probably should have been in Yikes of the Week, but we'll make up for it somehow. One Up, which is BuzzFeed Studios' first feature film featuring a story centered around a college student forming an all-female esports team based off Gamergate. This is starring that one chick from that one show.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't know.
Man, I am the worst with celebrity names. If my wife was here,
I don't care enough.
I don't. Yeah. It's like, oh, I recognize you as an actress and an actor, and I liked you in that one movie. Do not remember your name.
We're saving this for a documentary review or a Yikes of the Week. We'll see where this goes, but this will come up again at some point.
Yep. Netherlands Gaming Authority has announced that they have been given permission to fine EA 500,000 euros every week until loot boxes have been disabled. Loot boxes have been under fire a lot in EU from EA. So
see, those are the governments that show me they care about their people.
Right.
If you're going after loot boxes, that proves to me that you care about the people.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll happen here one day. Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe tomorrow.
Our government would just turn out to be banning video games as a whole somehow. That's what that in the States, that would somehow just ban all video games. You're like, what? So yeah, there you go. Good. I don't think anyone likes loot boxes, so always a good thing to see that. And EA can afford it. Speaking of affording 500,000 a week, Activision Blizzard has reported their earnings or their revenue gain for the third quarter. For all people who think they're struggling and, man, Overwatch League is a bust and Overwatch League is dying and StarCraft is dying and what's happening to Blizzard, don't feel too bad, because they have pulled in a reported $1.95 billion with a B dollars for last quarter.
The money's not coming from those games that you mentioned, though, right?
No. But doing pretty well.
This is coming from Call of Duty not loot boxes, but skins, apparel and skins and crap like that, and Hearthstone, obviously. And WoW actually announced that they had the highest pre-sale for any of their expansions ever. Granted, take that for what it is, but it's for the pre-sale side or early release, whatever they had the most. And they also have the highest subscription count going into an expansion, like in the last 3 expansions. So, good. Hopefully they go back and hire again instead of firing everybody like they're doing, because that's what's a shitty look here is you guys just fired and closed down shops in different countries, fired people left and right, and then you're reporting $2 billion revenue.
And I did leave this off this headline, but I did think in the story it did talk about them hiring more people. Not a ton, but they're
going to go hire volunteers or interns.
Right, people who volunteer. And in other news here, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Has been announced that he is an official employee of iRacing, being named the executive director. So once again, just showing that the biggest benefit of Corona and everything like that with esports has been iRacing. Even NASCAR, I read a story today that NASCAR has reported their highest viewership in a long time, and they partly credited iRacing, because when obviously when it moved over and everything like that, it just kind of helped blend 2 different types of crowds, the video game crowd, the racing crowd, and people who got into it originally because it's like, oh, esports and racing, it carried over back to traditional racing when it kind of went out the wayside. So
Tim, you're white and live close to the track. Why don't you get Dale Earnhardt on the show?
I'll hit him up. I think he actually just kind of walks around Texas Motor Speedway, and it's like, hey, you're white, I'm white, let's talk. So I think that's how that works. But I'll let you know. I'll go to Bucky's down the road and see how that goes. It is the iRacing Championship tonight too. I don't think it is over. Oh yeah, here it is. Nick Ottinger is your 2020 champion for iRacing. So there you go. Breaking news live on the Center Ring Esports podcast. So either way, very cool to see like a traditional sports kind of pick up because of esports. We don't see that very often. That will do it though for this episode of the Center Ring Esports podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Of course, we are presented by Alt Esports. Check them out, altesports.com. We will be back Wednesday. Actually, hit pause on the top. We'll be back Wednesday, right?
You will be back Wednesday.
I'm asking you because I know you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday.
All right. We'll be back Wednesday. Next Sunday, just because I'm thinking out loud at this point, most likely no show next Sunday. So Anuj, sister getting married, so he'll be busy. I will actually take that opportunity to actually redo and organize my office. So since we'll have the downtime, I can actually live without a computer for a night or two while I redo all that. Also, documentary. I have decided what documentary we can do, Anuj. It's available for anyone on Netflix, which I think is actually doing a special here coming up too, to where we can stream it. Anyone can do Netflix for free. League of Legends documentary on Netflix. I believe it's called League of Legends Origins.
All right.
Google it.
I can live with that.
It'll probably pop up. It's an hour or something long documentary on League of Legends. So let's do that for in a week.
Let's do that.
The 11th. Right?
I really won't watch it by then. Let's do it by the 15th.
The 15th. All right.
I have family here until Tuesday, so I'm not gonna.
All right. So we'll do that on the 15th. The 15th, League of Legends Origins. Just wanted to
give everybody 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to watch an hour documentary. I think we can all handle that and talk about it together.
Yes, I think we all can make enough time to do that. So have the next documentary figured out. Everything's going good. Community night right around the corner. TCR versus free-to-play League of Legends edition right around the corner. Lots of fun happening. Again, I will not ask for free labor volunteer work, but if you were just wanting to cut up video and help out with the show in any way possible, and you wanted to approach us with the idea of working for free, which I hate, by the way. Hate it. Disgusting. Let us know. Until then, we will be back Wednesday night to record Thursday show live, so check it out on Twitch or YouTube. Twitter at The Center Ring. Follow it, join the Discord, be a part of that conversation. But until then, for Anuj, I'm Tim. Love you. We'll see ya.